Hello. Blah. All the advertisement is done? Yeah. Alright. Looks like it's there. Happy Sunday, everyone! So, yeah. Hello, Shinzo. Happy Father's Day for the all. Oh my god, I need to call my dad. Oh. I knew I was forgetting something. God fucking damn it. I'll just send a Father's Day text for now. I'll just send a Father's Day text for now. Cause yeah, I might have seen my dad accidentally post a very private message to his wife in a family chat the other day, which was like, oh shit, that would have been embarrassing and what have you. Ding ding ding, da 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 da. Happy Father's Day. So yeah, I'll send him a Happy Father's Day. And then I need to send my grandfather a happy Father's Day as well, because that grandfather is helping pay off the student debt and what have you, which is really appreciative. There we go. All right. So, as you probably, so I don't know how many people from, from this stream right now was here on the Friday night stream, but yeah, that was absolute shit. The embedded URL, no, please visit Fugi to update your, oh, cool, hang on. Reactive.fugitech. Give me a minute, I now need to, fix an embed. For whatever reason, it isn't a fan of, internal server error. That would probably do it. All right, let me turn off that Discord thingy-majiggy if it's gonna be like that. Older people in technology. My dad isn't even that old. He's like, maybe just hit 50. Like, yeah, he's only just hit 50. So he's not, like, terribly old. But yeah, Friday night, my goodness, that was honestly a fucking terrible stream. I was only in there, like, I was only online for, like, maybe an hour and a half, and I tried distracting myself with, like, looking at a, like, a future PC build and such, but I was just not in the mood. And, yeah, everyone else probably caught on to that, and that put me in such a sour mood that I was like, I did, like, Saturday night, or Saturday morning, I didn't wake up until, like, 8 or 9 o'clock, like, 8 o'clock. And then, excuse me, I accidentally bit some skin on my lip that was, like, peeling. And now there's, like, a random... Ah! Ew. Where is it? There we go. Got it out. But yeah, it was an interesting topic. Oh yeah, no. You don't normally see the Zeebs, like, be in such a negative mood and crash out. And quite frankly, I am not interested in Truman showing my, I'm not interested in having, like, a sort of a Truman Show-esque with my streams of, like, presenting every facet of my life to the internet and what have you. I grew up from, like, 90s PSA of the internet, which is a case of, everyone is lying on the internet, do not reveal any personal information, and, most importantly, do not be vulnerable on the internet to a degree that you will regret it, kind of thing. So yeah, so there was that. I noticed you were struggling on Friday. Yeah, no, I definitely was. And so Saturday came around, and normally Saturday is a day where it's like, I'll go into a VR chat hangout that's organized by Unnamed and a few other people. I catch up on King of the Hill. I watch things and such. But that day, I was not interested whatsoever. Like, also, why is my thingy-majiggy, like, so stilted? Hang on. I really need, like, a smaller chair at some point, because, yeah, this guy, I think, is just too big. This guy, I think, is just too big for, there we go. Like, this guy is just, like, too big of a chair for me to be able to, like, slip in conveniently. But yeah, where was I on my train? But yeah, Saturday, I didn't do anything. I just simply stayed in my bed until midday, tried to do a few hours of Monster Hunter World. That didn't really go too far. And then I was back in bed at, like, 2 p.m. or something like that. And then, I had my diet, so I had my diet shake then. I had it again at, like, 4:50, 5 p.m. And then, I tried going to sleep. But, oh my goodness, trying to go to sleep at, like, after being in bed for, like, a majority of the day, not very easy. And then it got broken up with an after-hours call from work at like 10 p.m. So that was actually really nice because that meant that I got paid for that phone call. And then I got called again this morning at around 7. Hi there, Jason. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, so all of yesterday was just me being like, I feel like the only way to describe it was I was fucking depressed. And I just spent the entire day just recovering from a mixture of just cringe and melancholy and what have you. Hi there, Hex Jew Pie. Welcome to the stream. I'm a little bit better today as opposed to when you last saw me back on Friday. But yeah, Friday nights. Never doing that again. I'm gonna be real with you. Never doing that again because mixing in the fact that I work on Fridays, it's a work from home day, so I'm like stuck inside the... What in the fuck is that? Oh, okay, it's a fist. I'm gonna be real with you. I thought it was something else entirely different, okay? I thought it was something else. That looks very sus when you have like, you know, a black background for your chat and then it's an emoji that is majoritively black, okay? That threw me for a loop. But yeah, so no, we're not doing Friday night streams unless there's something, you know, wildly different about my work. Like, you know, maybe I go to work maybe I go to the office on that day. So then, you know, because of the whole like getting out of the room and back in and such like that might be a little bit better. But yeah, I think that's the key. If I'm stuck in the room, then there's a bit of a problem, and you know I'm not gonna enjoy the stream because it goes off in the evening. Have you eaten today? Yes, I've had my diet shake. Good news, I am not 94 kilograms anymore again. I am now 91 point something. So, Happy Father's Day. In Australia, yes. Happy Father's Day. I remember to send it to your dads though, whether it's, you know, your legitimate dad or a father figure or something like that. So, because I sent one to my dad and I sent one to my grandfather, who is helping to pay off the rest of my student debt, which will be very nice. But yeah, so Friday was an absolute bum of a day. Saturday, I didn't want to do anything. And so now we have Sunday, and it's a Sunday morning. Now, you may be wondering, you know, because some people would notice it's like, oh man, this is earlier than normal. And it's like, yes, it is, because I feel like normally I might have done like if I was doing a morning stream, sometimes I'm like, oh, let's do it 9 a.m. or something like that. But the fact of the matter is that I wake up at like 6:30 most days. So, you know, I don't need like, you know, 2.5 hours of prep time. It's like, quite frankly, like this one, for instance, like, you know, even after I snoozed the alarm once, I still got up before 7. I did all kinds of silly nonsense. So like, I only really need like less than an hour of prep time, really. So, oh yeah, like I can probably do morning streams at like 8 a.m. rather than 9 a.m., which I feel like might be a little bit better for the Americans and what have you, because, you know, I'm 10 hours ahead, they're like 6 hours behind, so I go backwards a few hours, and it is like, you know, a Saturday night for them, but it's not like a crazy late Saturday night either. So yeah. So yeah, no, it goes. Also, I keep stroking my beard hair because it's getting to that length where, like, you know, if I don't properly groom it, I just start making like these weird, these weird like knots and loops. So it's like, and I'm just constantly like, you know, fiddling with it and like just having my finger go through the whatsamahoozies. Okay, I thought I would like this distance, but I do not. All right, hang on a second. You logged up. What in the world? Oop. Thank you for the 50 bits, Melon. Oh. Not Melon, Hex Stew Pie. Thank you so much for the 50 bits. Okay, for whatever reason, sorry, I'm trying to get something set up in the background right now. And for whatever reason, it isn't doing it. Proceed. This should be it. Did they send me back home? Hopefully they did. Excuse me. Yeah, no, they did. Cool. Awesome. But yeah, so, So yeah, so, you know, slightly earlier Friday mornings are probably going to be better for me overall because, you know, I'm not going to be stuck in my room for too long of an hour and me, like, start getting, like, cabin fever or something like that. Because I think that's kind of what happened back on Friday, was just the mixture of work was so slow, so it didn't distract me. And because of that, I just had, like, a generally bad mood. And mix that in with, like, you know, trying not to break my diet and eat, like, whatever the fuck I wanted, like pizza or something like that. I was just in a foul mood, full stop. So, yeah. Yay! Alright, so, we are going to update this thing. We're doing the Final Fantasy 14 because it has been a while. Ooh, I'm getting a... Yep, cool. So that was my dad saying thank you for the Father's Day. He's gotten breakfast in bed, and he's going out for dinner, which is really nice. Alright, so we are on, Crystal/Goblin. Ding dong. Ding ding ding. Let me just reverse all that. Ding. Crystal/Goblin. We hit done on this. We stop the music. And then we're back in here. All right. Much more has happened in Eorzea while you are away. To help those such as yourself reacclimate to the ever-changing realm, the 12 has prepared a most generous boon, the Returner's Bounty. Accepting this divine aid will provide you with the tools required to make the quick turn to 4, including experience bonus for partying with mentors, as well as full access, a chat dedicated... Sure. The Returner status is applied to players who have at least one class at level 50 and above and have not visited Eorzea in more than 45 days? Oh. Oh, I've been out for a while, haven't I? Returner status is removed after accumulating 72 hours of gameplay after accepting the bounty or by using the text command Returner status off. Cool. Holy shit. Am I still part of the guild? Hang on a second. Or the free company, sorry. Yes, I'm still part of Dazzy's free company. That's pretty good. But oh my goodness, like, I have been out of it for a whiles. Although my drip still looks immaculate, thank goodness. But yeah, I have not played this in a whiles. Lord help me if I am, you know, not terrible at this. Like, where do I have all this shit in my inventory? Got Heavy Blade, I got Cruiser nonsense, I've got... no rhyme or reason to any of this stuff. Also, I'm pretty sure there's, like, an event going on as well, like the Rising or something like that. Yeah, there's an event going on. So, not only do I have, like, the next patch to go through, but I also have, you know, the seasonal event. And thank goodness it's being held in Limsa. The wandering minstrel is in search of inspiration. Well now, if it isn't my favorite... well, sorry, I misread that. Well now, if it isn't my adventurer friend Grant, it could only be a blessing from the Navigator that we should meet again, here and now. You see, I've been struggling to find inspiration for a new song to perform this Rising. I have a mind to speak with the locals for their tales, for which I could use your able assistance. Might you be willing to accompany me? I am truly grateful. During the Rising, we remember those we lost in the calamity, even as we turn our attention to a brighter future. 'Tis my hope to hear a tale that inspires one and all to look forward. Now then, there is no better place for talk in Limsa than the Drowning Wench. Let us first seek out the barkeep, Baderin, and see if it has aught of interest to share. Nice. Oh, we even get a cutscene, okay. Oh, come on, what's the harm? What's the harm? You'll get yourself killed, that's the harm. I ain't letting one so young sign up. Oh, it's a young fella. Why do ye want to become an adventurer so badly anyway, Gracha? There's this place I need to go to. The problem is the Yellow Jackets won't let a child leave the city alone. But if I were an adventurer, I'd be responsible for myself. I could go wherever I please, whenever I please. So please let me sign up. It ain't that simple, lass. I've got a responsibility to those that I sign up. If I let someone knowing what's clearly unprepared head out there and end up hurt or worse, I wouldn't be able to live it down. And don't even get me started on the damage it'd cause the guild's reputation. So you can forget about signing up until you're older. Much older. But it has to be now, during the rising. Why do you have to be so responsible? It comes with age, lass. Now run along and get yourself home. Look at this fucking 11-year-old. Yeah, that child is not even gonna be going back home. They're going somewhere the fuck else. Is everything well? Sorry you had to hear that. The little cub's bent on becoming an adventurer, but I said no and sent her on their way. Still, I can't help but worry. She doesn't strike me as the sort to give up easily. True that. Wouldn't surprise me if she tried to sneak out anyway. I hate to impose, but you reckon you could keep an eye on Rachta? I'd do it myself, but I can't up and leave the tavern. The timing of the rising seems to be of essence to the little one. Intriguing, would you not agree? Let us ask her about that. I mean, you're dead. Now, the nearest city's exit's the Tempest Gate, over by the Aft Castle. I suggest you begin by talking to the Clinderell, the sentry yonder. I'm still stroking my beard, goddammit. Dun, 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 dun. Oh! Hammer user. Oh, wait, that's a Reaper. Never mind. I thought they were a hammer user. But yeah, this is the classic A Realm Reborn music that you would have gotten at like the beginning of the like on the loading screen and what have you. Good music, I will be real with you. The lowlands of Lenosha await you on the other side of the Tempest Gate. A Badarian's behest, you say? As it happens, a girl of that description did come through just a moment ago. She was at the heels of the Mikote peddler, so at a glance one might think them parent and child. But the way she keeps stealing glances behind her made me suspicious. So I alerted my comrade Aoyo outside, and I expect she'd stop the little one for questioning. If you're worried, you should seek her out. Our thanks for that information. We shall find your comrade at once. Alright. Oh, it's a little child. Oh no, it's one of the potato people. Never mind. Well now, if it ain't the good minstrel and our kindly helper. Pleasure to see the two of you here again. What brings ye over here? So, Badarian sent ye after the little one. I was just about to ask her what she's up to. Richcha, was it, dearie? Even without others telling me, you ought to know it's dangerous out here. What is it that you want to do so badly you'd risk your life like this? There's something that I need to see. It doesn't matter if it's dangerous. I have to go. We understand that you have your reasons, Richter. Even so, we cannot in good conscience allow you to wander the wilds alone. So here I would make a proposal. Rather than becoming an adventurer, why not employ the services of one? With a dependable adventurer at your side, you should be able to reach your destination safely. This, I believe, is your best option. But I don't have any money, and what adventurer would want to help a child anyway? Why, our friend here, of course. Thank you, Minstrel, for just roping me into this.
If you're happy with this humble vagrant. Thank you for the Hyper Himbo Nano Gamer. Good morning, Make Us DJ. I shall be glad to provide suitable recompense in Richita's stay, while a part of me hopes that this will lead to inspiration for a song. Above all, I feel compelled to lend a helping hand. You'll really help me? Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad it worked out for ye, but as a client, there's something ye need to bear in mind. That is, you got to give the adventure your trust. Be honest with that exactly as ye need, and you'll be able to help ye all the better. The place I want to go to is a lighthouse here in Lower Denosha. It's named for one of the 12. I heard a rumor from a kid in town, you see. He told me that ghosts appear there during the Rising. They're supposedly lighthouse keepers who died in the calamity, and they spirit children away to the realm of the dead. But that's got to be nonsense, and I want to prove it. How goes your morning, Makus? You doing good? I was in a really sour mood Friday night, but I'm feeling a lot better today after sleeping all of Saturday. Oh, the 2 lighthouses in the area. Oshkon's torch is the only one that civilians can still get to. Don't recall hearing none about ghosts, though. X. I can't help but be curious, so I'll come along. Having a yellow jacket with ye ought to make things easier, I reckon. That's outside of a skirmish anyway. Being a cannoneer, I'm
Ferocious _ flame demands you drink.
I got a drink? Alrighty then.
Ferocious _ flame paid me to say hi.
Hello, Ferocious Flame. You're good. You'll be amazed how much of a good rest can do, and I'm not talking just a long rest. Oh yeah, no, I am, like, so to put into context, Friday night, after working from home, where I was basically stuck in a room for like, 9 hours, I then, hang on. There we go. So after being stuck in a room for like half the day, I then was like, gonna get started on streaming. And, lo and behold, the psyche does not appreciate being stuck in a room for over half the day. And I was in a very foul mood Friday night, and I didn't want to do anything. And so after an hour and a half of streaming, I was like, after being an absolute shitter, I was like, nah, we ain't continuing this stream. I want to go to bed. So I ended the stream and went to bed. And then I didn't wake up until like 8 a.m. the next day. And then I was awake for a few hours, and then I went back to bed in the afternoon. And then I woke up again at like 4 p.m., and then I went back to bed. And then I woke up at 10 p.m. because someone did an after-hours live, but I was struggling to go to sleep anyway, so I went back to bed. The majority of Saturday, I did nothing but stay in bed. I found a quote another day that's really good. It doesn't tie in really, but if you're mad at someone else, eat something. If you're mad at yourself, sleep. Honestly, that is the dream, Furious Flame. That is honestly the dream. Here's the thing, is I just honestly wish that there was like an easy understanding as to like where my disapproval and where my anger was that day. I don't know if it's because of the fact that I was like, stuck at home or anything like that, but yeah, there was I remember distinctly how I didn't like doing Friday night streams because of like how dependent my mood was because of being stuck in home, working from home, and just being anxious because I can't even like leave the PC, like the room when I'm working from home because I'm paranoid that if I do, I will miss something from the office. But the problem is that if I'm just, if I'm just like sitting in here and there's nothing to do, that's so much worse because it's like, oh, like, I can go by, like, it's possible to go through a Friday doing nothing, but then it feels absolute shit because, you kind of have to, you have to kind of, warrant that you're still productive while working from home. So, yeah. Weirdly, I found I did meditation mindfulness exercises after work from home to reset myself. I just go with the decision of don't stream on Friday nights. So, what's your name, adventurer? GrantZeebs? I'll remember that. Thank you so much for helping me. We'll go to Oshan's torch and we'll see if the rumors about the ghosts is true. Next quest. We get ourselves a wind-up balloon Raja. Are you ready to go, Grant? Yep. As much as I would like to accompany you, someone should return to the Drowning Wench to appraise Badarian of these developments. Besides, to hear your accounts afterwards, what you learned and felt will also bring unique inspiration. I wish you an enjoyable and insightful excursion. Yeah. Also, Furious Flame, I'm doing my best, like, so yeah, there was like a whole ton of problems that I was getting off of my chest at the time. And, it was one of those things where my brain was spiraling through it, but the stuff that was like, spiraling for me was managing my weight because, for the longest time I was like over 100 kilos and very overweight and what have you. And I was finally down to like 94, 95 kilograms, or I got down as low as 88. But this most recent stint of diet shakes, I wasn't really doing a good job of... Actually, you know what? I'll explain after this dialogue. Right, to begin with, how about we head east to Madman Bridge and give Rechta a chance to see the sights. The path can be steep in places, so take care you don't take a tumble now. I'll be fine. Don't worry. Let the adventure begin. So yeah, blah 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 blah. But yeah, so I have been like struggling with my weight for like 7 years, and then I had the diet shake where, quite frankly, that helped solve my weight. Like, I went from like 150 kilos down to like as low as 88. But after going on a diet break, I got up to like 99 kilos or something like that, which wasn't too great. So I went back onto the intensive shake diet, and I lasted maybe like 2.5 weeks on that intensive shake diet before I broke it, eating food and what have you. I just had a hankering. I just had a desire. Boom. Like I just had a huge desire for food and what have you, and so. For the rest of the time between the middle of August to now, there had not been more than 3 days where I was actually, following the intensive shake diet. I was either snacking at work or eating a large meal from like DoorDash or Uber Eats, which, is not ideal. Like my weight didn't go back up to 99 kilos, thankfully. But I was certainly sticking around like the mid-90s at this point, and really that still leaves me as overweight, or not overweight, but obese, sorry. To be only classified as overweight, I need to be less than 91, 90 kilograms. And I wanted to get myself down to like, under the mid-80s before I started going back into like, consuming like 1 meal or 2 meals a day. And I couldn't stick to that. So I was really frustrated about that. And then came like this other side problem that I forgot was an issue, which was living in Australia is hard. Like the cost of living keeps going up. And the media, like I am barely over the. I have barely reached like the median income in Australia. I'm pretty sure the median income is like 90K or something. Actually, before I give you that false information, let me just double check it. I'm pretty sure the median income in Australia is like 90K. Now, before anyone's like, the average is not the same as the median, by the by. The average, like, this is always annoying. Hang on, median versus average versus mean. So yeah, there's a lot of peeps that will tell you, oh, the average income in What's-a-Mahoozy place is like, $100 and something thousand. But the way that works is it gets the sum of all the values and then divides
by the length of the value, which is not really good. Actually, here it is. So, the mode is the most frequent value. The median is like, the middle of the value. And then the mean is the average or the norm. So what happens with means, however, is that if there is more reported, like, higher incomes and what have you, then it's going to be, like, pulled into the right. If there's more lower incomes, it gets pulled into the left. The median is where it's like, oh, 50% of the value. So, like, here's the value that we give you, and, like, half of the people are either below it or half of the people are above it. So whenever there's, like, a talk about, like, income and such like that, be very mindful of how people do the calculations and what have you. So anyway, average income Australia. So, like, the average income in Australia is seen as, like, who gets this key information? Australian Bureau of Statistics. Cool. Median income. Ding dong. So the average weekly ordinary earning wage age for full-time adults was 2,000 in May 2025. Where is... So this gives it to us in weeks. Where is it in years? Source, average weekly earning. Where is it? Like, there should be a median annual income. Where the fuck are you? So yeah, so as you can see here, I'm gonna have to do some calculations. So, like, they tell you that the average is like, oh, people are earning over $2,000 a week. That is fucking insane. Like, $2,000 a week? That is like $4,000 a fortnight. That is $8,000 a month. Hang on a second. 2 times 52. 2 times 52. So yeah, that is $104,000. But if you look at the median, which is 1,500, is it 1,500? Yeah, 1,577. So if you go with the median, that is closer to $82,000 a year. I only just reached that. So yeah, and unfortunately, if you try and do a calculation of like, oh, can a person on the median wage, like, rent? Actually, hang on. Percentage of pay into rent. You should aim. No, don't give me. You should aim to spend no more than 30% of your gross income on rent to avoid rental stress. Though 20 to 25 is a better target, according to 30% rule, spending more than 1/3 of your income on rent is the threshold for rental stress, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. So yeah, the first says the sweet spot is generally 25% of your income, and ideally no more than 30%. Spending more is putting. Yeah, okay, so cool. Ideally, so So ideally you're not going to be spending more than 1,577. All right, so 1,577 times by 0.3. So, is that correct? That doesn't sound correct. That sounds... Why is my math off? My math sounds way off. 1,577 weekly earning. Wait, median income in main job was 1,396. Median hour in a main job was 44. Wait, so why is it... Oh, okay, so women only get 1,200, men get 1,500, so the average person gets 1,396. So... Sorry, persons, 1,396. So yeah, so ideally you want to spend less than $460 a week on rent. Wait a minute. That doesn't... I'm gonna need to do some math, because if that's correct, I am earning under the median. Like, is that take-home pay? 1,000 something or rather? That doesn't sound right. 50% of employees earn less than 1,396 a week. Like, hang on. Is this before or after tax? Hang on, where is the thingamajiggy? Don't need that, don't need that. Pay calculator Australia. Give me a minute, sorry. Don't forget super. Okay, so let's go for the weekly. So weekly 1,577. 1,577. So is that what I'm actually earning? Like, I don't know. That doesn't sound right. So yeah, so if you're earning, so if that's your, like, here's the thing, is like, what's the, so wait, weekly earnings. So hang on a second. So search weekly earnings before or after taxes. Like, is earnings before or after? Silly question. When you guys talk about income, is it before or after tax? Mostly before taxes. Okay, so it's most likely before. All right, cool. So 1,249 a week. All right, so then if we, so 1,249 times by 0.33. So you have approximately $412 a week to pay in rent. Is the ideal, like, 30, actually 0. Oh my god, that 3% makes all the difference. So if you do like 30%, it's 374 a week. If you do a third, which is 0.333 recurring, you get yourself 416 a week. That is a huge difference. Holy shit. So that is easily like a $25 a week difference there. And if you go on to, like, let's go on to like realestate.com, and then let's say you're renting in, I'm not going to use my actual place, so let's use New South Wales, and you want at least one room and you don't want to spend more than 375. Your options are... Wait, why are you advertising as 2-bedroom? What the shit? How far from the city is this? What the fuck? That is butt-fuck nowhere. Holy shit, you should be... Oh my gosh, hang on a second. Now comes the fun bit of... Okay, I know I said Sydney. Let me just put in a map. So, ding, there we go. All right, let's have a look here. So if you... Let's avoid here. Let's say Randwick. What's this place? 350 a week. It's a studio apartment. And there's no images inside the studio apartment. Yikes. Okay. What about this one? 290 a week in a unit. This one looks a little more appropriate. Oh. Wait, that's it? Hang on. Okay, now we have to do the assessment. Like, is this a separate room? Is this a separate room, or is the, probably not? I doubt the bedroom is a separate room. That is, yeah, that is one room. That is a hotel room, in all honesty. 300, and that's 300 a week. Yeah, it says studio, so yeah, it's just the one room. And then it's 270. Oh my god, this is just a room. And the two images are basically the same. Holy shit. So, to put into context, full-time job. Full-time job, and maybe you will get a room. What's this one? Rooms available. For a single person, it's 300 a week. For a couple, it's 420. You get free unlimited Wi-Fi. Okay, cool. So you're not managing the Wi-Fi yourself. Queen size bed with mattress and mattress protector with a study desk, wardrobe. Okay, so this is a furnished room, single occupancy tenant. So yeah, you're going into one of these rooms. Yeah, this is a share house situation. So like none of the shit is yours. All right, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go into my neck of the woods. Hang on. Where's Brisbane? There you are. Brisbane. All right. So, South Bank. $290. Oh, I keep seeing this one pop up. This is for one room. This looks glamorous as fuck, but they're talking about one room here. You're going into an apartment where I'm pretty sure this advertisement previously had women's only, but it looks like they've removed that. Owners are only after release until cookie for Night Sky. Here's your cookie, Night Sky. Yeah, they're only looking for someone to occupy it until November this year. Holy crap. So yeah, so you got that. You know what? Fuck it. Let's actually look in. So this is city. New Farm is city. They have a fucking bed just hanging there. Oh, what did I miss? I could never do it. Too many people. Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing as well, Fizz Tiger. That is a share house situation for an income not as a student, not as a youth allowance, which is even cheaper. This is on an income of a full-time employee. On a full-time employee, where you're aiming to use less than where you're ideally using less than 30% of your income, so less than $400 a week, this is what you can get. I'll be real with you, this one, I don't have a problem with, weirdly enough. But yeah, I am like that bed just hanging from the ceiling is so fucking sus to me. Oh, look at that. Okay, I hate this. All right? I fucking hate when they do this, where they're like, oh, would you look at this property? It's Oh, would you look at this property? It's $350 a week. Isn't that convenient? And then lo and behold, where's my buttons? There's my buttons. Lo and behold, they give you the asterisks of this rent will increase to $470. So what was previously would have been seen in my budget as a full-time employee, suddenly in October, so not even 3 months later, not even 3 months later, do you end up in a house or into an apartment where it was in your budget, suddenly is not in your budget. Like, holy fucking shit. Why are they like this? Honestly, fuck that. I fucking hate that. Don't advertise a place being cheaper than what it's going to be at, like, in less than a year. Also, hi there, Kevin 10. Kevin 10? No longer Friday. Yes, it is no longer Friday. Oh, hang on a second. That is the incorrect, thingy-madiggy. Let's hope Zeebs is in a better mood this morning. That was the original message. There we go. Oop. Hang on. I just overwritten it. Done. But yeah, like, I am so annoyed with real estate advertisement being like, oh, here's a cheap place that you can live in, and then less than a year into your lease, or in this case, less than 6 months or even 3 months into your lease, they increase the price. No, stop it. Don't do that. If you're going to set the price to a fucking exorbitant, if you're going to set it like before leases normally end, put that as the advertisement. Don't sell me, like, this isn't a fucking internet plan where it's like, oh, you get, you know, for 3 months, you get to have, like, a discounted internet plan or a discounted phone plan, and then we increase it by, like, you know, $10 a month every year. I mean, New Farm is kind of inner city, so the prices would be high. Yes, that's true. So then represent that. Don't trick me. Don't trick me into finding, like, because here's the thing is, most leases are 6 months to a year at least. If you are not increasing the price of the lease until, like, maybe a year later, that's fine. You don't need to mention it. But if you're going to increase the price of the of the rental property before most leases expire, no, don't do that. Don't put it in the fucking description. Put it in the fucking advertisement so I know not to get shown that shit. Filter that fucking nonsense out there. That keyblade down on the bottom of the screen, you have that in real life? Nice. I made that keyblade in like 3D years ago because I went through a fucking binge of the Kingdom Hearts games. As a Kingdom Hearts connoisseur, I can say this now, you don't need to go through all the Kingdom Hearts games. You can just go through 1, 2, Birth by Sleep, and 3. You don't have to worry about the other Kingdom Hearts games. Look! A river! There's some sort of strange animal. We sometimes see children out this way with their folks, but I take it you've never been. Actually, I have. It was a long time ago, though, before my parents died in the calamity. Gas. It's alright. I live it at the orphanage. Everyone's really nice, and I have lots of fun. That'll be Lemillion's show, I take it. It's an orphanage run by a former sanguine siren. In case you wasn't aware, a fine place by all accounts. If that's what Ritacha's from, I'll have one of me comrades contact her caretakers. Wouldn't do to let him think she's missing. Right then. Next we'll make for Oshan's Embrace. Up this ear ill. Take it slow so you don't wear yourself down. But yeah, like, I will accept some, like, neighborhoods are more expensive than others, but don't give me false hope. Don't tell me there's going to be a cheap property, but then, like, less than a span of time later, you're going to jack up the price, and it actually be the difference between, you know, sustainable rent control to this is now out of my budget. I would like to call you Grant. It's a cool name you have. I hope I don't mind. Yeah, that's fine. You're all right with that, Kevin. GrantZeebs, Zeebs. I've had people call me Grant. Okay, I'm back from the bathroom. What did I miss? Me pointing out, like, you know, finances are very annoying in Australia because the cost of living keeps going up, and that includes rent and such. And blah 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 blah. I was, you know, just as an exemplar demonstration, I was showing how, like, in Australia, even if you go with the median income of like a full-time employee, most places in cities, the actual like things you can rent, like at the advised 30%, are not exactly a good place to live on a full-time income. They're all like share houses or studio apartments, where quite frankly the studio apartments look like hotel rooms converted into long-term living. So yeah, trying to explain that to a full-time employee, like, who might be trying to have independence, yeah, that sounds like fucking shit. Imagine telling a 30 to 40-year-old, hey, do you want to live in a share house situation? What about the outer rim of the city? That's gonna take too long. There is, like, it's peanuts, because here's the thing. Australia has slightly better public transport than the United States, but the infrastructure ain't fucking there. Like if you want to, like, you'll find yourself like living a couple kilometers away, but public transport is still going to be like a 40-minute to an hour bus ride in order to get back into the city. And what's more is, telling people to just live outside the rim of the city is very disingenuous, because you still have low-income jobs in the city. Like, you kind of need to support low-income jobs to live in the city via low income. Like, this is the biggest problem, is that, like, how do you explain this to fucking, like, money-grubbing landowners? How do you explain to people that you have to support people in the lowest bracket in the city for them to afford living in the city? You can't tell them, move out, because guess what? There is going to be cases where, oh, with the income they get from the city, they might have to live an hours away. And if they are, say, an emergency person, such as a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, teacher, sanitation, if they're any of those kinds of things, telling someone to live more than an hour away from their work is not conducive to them being a good worker, because guess what? Sometimes you're going to be called in for something as an emergency, and you're going to need to get there within the hour, if not less normally. So it's a catch-22. You either do shit at your job because you live too far away, so you need to have, you know, proper full-time hours and good, you know, protections from being called in at random hours, or you have really shit hours, and now you live in poverty within the city as well. Whoa! We're so high up! This is amazing! I felt the same way when I looked out from Ear for the first time. This bridge was built where a tidal wave sundered the land during the calamity. It's a symbol of our people's determination to rise above the tragedy. Miss Dorotha, that's the headmistress, said that we Lemosians work hard because we hate to lose and like what we do. What about you, Gran? Do you like being an adventurer? I wouldn't want to be anything else. So yeah, so... Great tits, 10 out of 10. Thank you so much, Erinazek. But yeah, so all of this spawned because of me relaying, like, some of the stuff that I got into discussing on Friday, which it started with, like, my struggles with, like, losing weight. And then it led into, because I'm having to be on a stricter diet, this diet will, you're naked? I'm not naked. I still have jeans. I still have jeans. Look at this. Look at this. Still got jeans. Still good. Look at this. Aha! That's what I thought. When I grow up, I hope I'll like to do what I do as well. My parents like what they did, I think. When the calamity struck, they didn't run away. They were noble souls, Miss Dorothea said. She promised to tell me everything one day, but I don't know how to feel when they're gone, and... I can't find the words. I want to be a good client, though, so I'll think on it. But yeah, so... Talked about struggling with weight, and, you know, now I'm actually, you know, down to like 91 point something kilograms, and I want to try and get like a really good under like 85 kilos or something like that, because then that way I get out of the obese category and I get into, you know, I get into the overweight category, and that one will be even a more comfortable like metric of overweight as well. So then that way, if I do gain like, you know, 3 or 4 kilograms from eating too much, it's not going to put me back into obese. It's just going to keep me in overweight. So yeah, so because of that, because of the dieting, it leads into budgeting, because, you know, because I'm on a shake diet where ideally I only drink the shakes or what have you, my meals are like less than $5 a meal, which if you try and do that like outside of diet shakes and such, nearly impossible to do. Ooh, and so it leads into, you know, finance, budgeting for, you know, rent and what have you. I'm getting a pay raise this year, which I really appreciate from work, and my grandfather is paying off my student debt, which means that a portion of my pay won't go towards my student debt, which is fantastic. But even after all that, I'm still paying more than 30% of my income to live in this place. So at some point, I'm going to have to move out from this place, and all of the places that are available in my budget seem undesirable if I want to, you know, seem undesirable if I want to, A, live independently, and B, give myself the space to not only, you know, work full-time and go to and from work and work in the home, but also stream, you know, in the after hours when I want to. There's a lot of places that don't look like I'll be able to have, like, an office space. Seems Richa's got something she needs to get off her chest in wanting to verify the rumors, but mayhaps she... But there's no use speculating. Come, let's press on. During ad time, I always eat the turbo one, and it's always the final one before I get back to a stream. Maybe you should get Twitch Turbo. Also, I keep stroking the beard hairs. I have the hairs on my chinny chin. Keep stroking it. I gotta stop stroking it. But yeah, so there's all sorts of gripes that I have to deal with. Weight, dieting, income, rent, you know, I'm gonna have to find new places to rent. And then overall, I just, you know, parts of my PC, the ship of Theseus, have been breaking down and such, so I want to save money for, I want to save money for the, blah, 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 blah. For the, I want to save money for new PC parts, but then there's also the case of I want to save money for, I want to save money for a trip to the United States to meet up with unnamed and such. So there's like all sorts of things. Sorry, I'm just alternating some stuff, so. But yeah, there's like so many things I need to like save up for and such. And if I didn't have so much cost, if I didn't have such a high cost of living, it would be like I would have a much easier time saving and still being able to enjoy, like, you know, the sneaky snacks and treats to help me feel mentally positive. That there's Oshan's torch. One of 2 lighthouses here what are named for gods. The lighthouse keeper's a bloke named Roshnesk, Rosenejd. How the fuck am I supposed to say that? You can ask what I'm about. You can ask him about ghosts and any time else you like. Lighthouse keeper. So, about the reason why I want to know about the ghosts. Oh, gosh darn it, there's works calling.
And that's another. Thank you so much for the hyper himbo pizza.
Someone called me? But then, like, what? Hello?
I don't want to try and do that right.
I didn't hang up. What the shit?
Actually, there's a way for me to check that. If I go to the Elgato wave link.
Piggies. Clip clop. What the fuck? Hello? What? It's just the music by Hikaru Utada. Like, it's just silly that it's like, you know, me. That made no sense. Yes, it's been X number of days since Kingdom Hearts has last been mentioned on stream or, you know, mentioned. Is anyone gonna pick it up? Hang on. I need to. Please pick up, please pick up, please pick up, please pick up, please pick up. Attempting to dial. There are legitimate. In fact, I'm running on technology that it didn't know existed when this game released back in like 2016 or something. And I'm respecting all the laws. All the traffic laws. Oh, that's my turn. Oh boy. Get out of my way! Please don't tell me my phone decided to, Leggy? Leg? You're gonna give me your leg, right? You are gonna give me a leg, right? Leggies? Leg? Leggies? Wait, so, okay, so that was yesterday, that wasn't me. Kugane, as you... it's attempting to dial... Oh god, please someone from work answer that. I don't know why, it didn't want to answer for me. Hang on. Now comes the fun bit, where... all the way across to Japan. And we're gonna be heading into the Ruby Sea, which is gonna allow us to cross over from, you know, the Kugane Islands over into... oh, Jesus. 6.5. Oh, God. It's fine, I didn't expect it to be Japanese. What just happened? So... did I just lose internet? For the viewers! Hang on, let me get rid of that. I am so sorry, chat, there is something wrong. Give it a good shake! Give it one good shake! And... there we go. The ghost of you is still there. Yeah. We'll probably still figure it out until the PC does a full-on restart. You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round. You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, round, round, round. Oh, so starting here. So this is plus, this is minus, this is times, and this is divide. So 20 minus 10 is 10 times by 2 makes 20. God fucking damn it! Fuck! What kind of... fuck? There we go. The Okami Joroguro, or Spooky. The Okami simplified them. I imagine Okami simplified them because this was a Wii game at the start. So I reckon, like, to avoid any kinds of, you know, scaring the fucking bejesus out of children, they toned some stuff down. They don't have phobias, like in the United States. But, you know, they still have things of, like, you know, don't make 100% spooky spiders. push you onto this thing? No, I didn't die. Fuck you. Yeah! Got him that time. Alright, I solved it. Turns out the dude who called the after hours line, I was in the middle because like normally when we get a call from actually what's the thing called? There we go. Ding dong, a bam. But yeah, so basically what happened is the dude called the after hours line and he was intending to like he didn't explain what the issue was going to be, but because you call the after hours line and it goes to our mobile phones, we don't get it we don't get a thing that instantly hits our mobile phone because there's like a soft phone, there's like a polling system. So what ends up happening is that it will call our number, and then there will be a thing of like, this is a call from the technical support hotline. Press any key to accept. And so you have to, so me, the technician, has to press a number on the on my mobile phone, which alerts the pager system to being like, hey, yep, he answered the phone, he is like a person, he's ready. And then it goes, you are now connected with the hotline caller. And then normally I do the, hello, this is Grant, you have reached desktop support. And then, you know, give them the assistance and what have you. During the stage of me, who've answered the call and waiting to hear the spiel of, you have a call from the technical support hotline, the dude hung up on me. Because the problem that he was initially calling for resolved itself before I was able to, you know, figure out what it was and fix it. And because of him hanging up on me, it seemed as if I got hung up. It seemed as if I didn't answer the call because the pager system was like, oh, hey, he didn't press the button, which means that the call didn't go through or something like that. So let's go to the next person, the level 2. And, yeah, so I was in a panic of like, oh shit, it's trying to alert the level 2 guy, and if he doesn't pick it up, it's going to alert the level 3 guy, my boss, and I didn't want that to happen because what the fuck am I going to be doing at 9 a.m. on a Sunday? But yeah, so I was able to get the number of the call ID of the person that called the helpline, reach out to them with my mobile phone and be like, hey, this is Grant, did you call the after hours line for assistance? And he's like, yeah, I did, but it resolved itself, so I'm all good. And I'm like, okay, but to confirm, did anyone from the line answer? And he's like no. And I was like, did you hang up? And he's like, yes, he did. It's like, ah, okay, cool. Thank you for the clarification. So yeah, so there was this very fun moment of me panicking, thinking I was about to get an earful from my boss for missing a phone call, but turns out the guy just hung up because it magically solved itself. Ooh. When I heard the rumors, I thought that maybe, just maybe, they were the ones haunting the lighthouse. So that's why you want to prove the rumors wrong. You couldn't stand people thinking your parents were doing terrible things. Aye, but a part of me wishes that the rumor was true. Then I'd be able to talk to my parents again. There's so many things I'd like to ask them. Well, whatever the truth is, we'll find out soon. Let's keep going. So yeah, so crisis averted. It's very tempting to clock this as a after hours call thing, because it's like, technically speaking, I did have to ring the person back, but our pager system is gonna say like, oh, it's attempted to call me, and then it's attempted to call the level 2. So like, who knows? I'll put it in and we'll see how we go. Also, this is my vehicle. So yeah. Alrighty. I honestly do not remember that thingamadiggy being there, but so what? Whoa! The sea's frozen in a splash! Amazing! This area was arted by the calamity. On top of the... No, I wasn't talking to you, Siri. On top of the tidal wave washing away big swaths of land, a piece of Dalamud came crashing down yonder. They say it caused aether to gush out of the land and crystallize all at once. At that time, I was with Miss Dorothea. She was my mother's friend, and she took me to a safe place. I was very little then. I didn't fully understand what was happening, but the calamity really was a frightful thing. I can't imagine how it was for father and mother. Alrighty then, here we go. Just because I can. Look how powerful I am at level 100 in this area of, like, level 10s. So fucking powerful. Nice. Actually, I should change to one of my other classes to get, I should change to one of my other classes, so then that way I actually get levels into things I need. Let's see. What is most deserving of levels? Let's go with Machinist. Machinist looks close to leveling up. There we go. You deep, dip. Hello, fisherman. Well, now, if it ain't guests, what brings ye to the torch? Cutscene. Ghost during the rising? For all me years as a keeper, I've not seen nor heard about such a thing at any lighthouse I know. It's certainly the sort of place as children might leave haunted, though. Might be as someone mistook me or some laundry for a specter. So father and mother weren't ghosts after all. She was kind of hoping to see them. But I must say, it's a surprise to see Rathos's little girl here. Your parents showed me the ropes when I was starting out as a keeper. They had charge of Lomelion's ring yonder. Nowadays, it's on a little isle, but there used to be a stretch of land connecting it. A dangerous stretch it was, rife with nasty beasts. You needed to hire adventurers and grizzled ones at that just to deliver supplies. If you knew my parents, please tell me about them. They left me in Limsalominsa during the calamity and died in a tidal wave. Why did they go out there even though it was so dangerous? What was going through their minds? I want to know. I was stationed elsewhere at the time, so I only read this in a report. But your folks did everything they could to protect Lemillion's ring. They built a breakwater, using anything and everything they had on hand, but in the end there was no stopping such a monstrous wave. Countless souls went missing when it struck, and the Maelstroms mounted search and rescue operations. I joined in the effort, but I'm afraid they were never found. Know, though, that your folk didn't die in vain. By mining their lighthouse to the very end of that day, they guided many vessels safely to shore and saved many lives. I see. They really were noble souls, like Miss Dorothea said. But if I could choose, I wish that they were still here. This is just a thought, but how'd you like to stay the night and hear more about your folks? It's only be the mundane, everyday things, but what I know, I'd be glad to share with ye. I'd like that. I'd like that very much. Hooray! Huzzah! I'm doing this rising so then that way I don't miss out on the chance of getting some wind-up minions. Oop. Yeah, I don't have a really cool outfit as a machinist, so leave it be. Good morning, Grant! I got up early to look at the lighthouse where my father and mother used to be. For the longest time, I'd felt as though they abandoned me. I wanted to see them one more time, so I could ask them why they had to go, and to tell them that I miss them. Are you disappointed there weren't any ghosts? Also, I just realized my Viera is actually wearing a hat, technically speaking. Maybe a little. Still, I'm glad I could learn about my parents. It made me realize that I want to become someone who helps others, like them, and like you! Oh, it's getting bright. The sun is rising for the rising! Honestly, that is a beautiful sunrise. So thank you for bringing me here. Excuse me. Yawning is bound to happen. Thank you so much for coming with me, both of you. You're very welcome, dearie. You can always come to me if you need anything. Just no more trying to sneak out, you hear? Well, I better get back to the orphanage. Hopefully Miss Dorothea won't be too mad at me. You be waiting to report to the minstrel, I expect. In which case, a comrade of mine tells me he is at the anchor yard. I'll see to it Richard gets home safely. Be sure to catch the special fireworks afterwards, eh? Be seeing you, Grant! Alright, I know how to get there. Oh, dink. Alright, this ways. Yep, I'm going the right way so far. Is there a way for me to hide my, There we go. I'll just remove that. Just hide it for now. Ah, welcome back, my friend! Was young Richta able to find what she sought? So, her true purpose was to see if the ghosts were her parents who were really taken by the calamity? A tale is born when someone acts in the name of another. As there are so many tales out there, it is impossible for us to know every single one. Yet, a tale may occasionally find its way to those who need it most, such as that of the lighthouse keeper, whose courage and sacrifice have come to guide their child years after their passing. Thank you, Grant, not only for granting Richta's wish, but for providing me with inspiration as well. While we wait for the special fireworks to begin, might you tell me more of your excursion? Yes, it comes to me. A verse for all who strive onwards, this day and every day. Oh my god, the echo. Basically, we get an aneurysm in our head. And as always, we get hit with a fucking flashbang. Huh? Dog! Greetings, warrior of light. What in the world? This is a world that exists outside your reality. Could it be a dream? A flight of fancy conjured by your weary mind? Perhaps. Or perhaps not. 'Tis a pleasure to meet you again, as I have in the past. I have beckoned you here that I might express my gratitude. Naoki Yoshida. For years, we have walked together with you on this grand adventure. It is a never-ending journey, one that shall continue tomorrow as surely as it does today, the most natural of things. Along the way, I have endeavored to keep my gaze firmly fixed upon the future. Of late, however, I have been keenly reminded that we must occasionally look back upon the path we walked, that we might remember the lessons learned. In the course of our adventures, it seems that I too have grown. To learn from success and failures both, and forge ahead with humility and sincerity. That is what I had resolved to do at Journey's beginning, and I resolved to do so anew. Nothing would please us more than to continue having you at our side on the road ahead. And I pray that upon this journey of life that we have the honor to share, the light of the crystal shall ever shine. Now, the time has come for this vision to end. Time for your eyes to open from this waking dream. This world shall yet endure, and as we continue to make our way, I pray that we shall have occasion to meet again. Till that day, I wish you the happiest of journeys. Fare you well. Most happenings in our lives have no bearing on the fate of the world. More often than not, they go unobserved and unremarked. But you, my friend, gather up such forgotten tales and see them delivered. In so doing, you bring joy, and as a token of my gratitude, I dedicate to you this song. A song of journeys fulfilling. Nice. Hell yeah! In gleaming gold the sun does rise, the boundless sky it calls. In pale, silver pale the path of men, a white and endless pall. So far away the guiding light that you do now espy, but flames of life their warmth impart to comfort and inspire. Take heart, my friend, for here we stand, and so we shall remain. Your destination reach you shall, by memories refrain. I have no doubt that you, Richta and Aoyo, should give rise to a great many more tales. Your tales in particular may be more varied than those of others. There may be times when you face great hardships, and the weight is more than can bear. In such a time, I bid you remember this. No matter how great your burdens, the tales that you have gathered shall ever be your strength, a beacon to light your way in the darkness. Yay! Rising quest complete. Lucky me. And we get ourselves a wind-up Gulul Jaja. Oh my god, she looks so cool. Alrighty, anyone to talk to here? No. So we get ourselves some experience, we get ourselves the wind-up, what's the Whoozies? There we go. Oh yeah, that reminds me. It's been 45 days, which means the whatsamahoozy that I had, the Wondrous Tales, is ruined. I need to get a new one. Receive a new journal. There we go. Alright, so we've got 50, 60, and 70 dungeons, 70 and 80, 80, 100. Alliance raids from Stormblood, Juno the First Walk, Omega Alphascape, anything from Eden's Gate, Pool of Tribute, Containment Bay, Z1T9, Thornton's Reign, and anything from the Cruiserweight, an extreme version of the Castrum Merium, Heideland's Call, Treasure Dungeon, Frontline. Alright, let's see how quickly we can get into Frontline. That was quick! I have no idea what to expect in a Frontline game with Machinists, but we're gonna give it a try. Yep, so I've already got 2,000 Tomes of Relic. So, Heliometry, we got Mathematics. Let's see how we do. idea what I'm doing in this game, but we're gonna see how we do. Alrighty. Hopefully I'm going the right way. What the? Oh. I have no idea what I'm shooting at. There we go. What am I doing? Uh-huh. That was an assist. Yeah, it was. I have no idea what I'm doing, chat. Oh, okay, you can get full damage. My bad. That was not what I meant. Hi there, Ardo. Welcome to the stream. Are the crystals with me today? I should hope so. Alright, so I guess we're going to this thing. Oh shit, there was a dragoon there. How do people do targeting with all this random nonsense here? Jesus Christ! PvP confuses me. But I'm doing it because it's on the, like, what's-a-mahoozy. It's in the book. There we are. Now we can go this way. Go up to Sector 2? The fuck is Sector 2? up, up. Okay, yeah. There we go. I have no idea what I'm doing. Bound? Oh, that's why. And you don't understand PvP either, you try to avoid it? Fair enough. I'm only doing it because I'm trying to get, like, machinist levels up, and the Mikote's, like, wondrous tales. Like, because I've hit level 100 in, like, a whole ton of different classes, I no longer get the benefit of, you know, earlier, blah, 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 blah. I no longer get the benefit of, earlier, being able to do only the earlier, stuff, like dungeons and everything like that, for me to be able to easily, like, you know, do them in quick tricks with my level 100 or higher level, class. So, yeah. There we go. Oh, I got a knockout for that one. That was actually very fortunate of me. Now we just need to get more points. Focus blue. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. Alright, so we got that. Oops. Another knockout. That's honestly impressive. Oh, shit, 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 shit. Where's a closer adversary? Damn it, he got behind a wall. Let me get rid of the Scholar. I think I did an assist on that one. There we go. Got an assist on that one too. Slowly but surely, I will figure out how the fuck they want me to play as Machinist in this PvP round. Yep, alright, so we go up. Sprint, so we can get there faster. No, you fucking don't. Damn it. Comes the annoying part where we have like a whole ton of... Here we go. Whenever I play online team PvP, like the last minute of the game, whatever team I'm on is losing, and then suddenly we end up winning. Yeah, I think the problem is that like the PvP, you need to have like there's like, it's an entirely different quote unquote strat. in regards to, like, it's not, like, sure, you do want to make kills and such, but you also don't want to be constantly dying to get those kills, so it's like, you need someone as a shot caller in your team to help give you context to what the fuck you need to do. And yeah, I am not one of those shot callers. Oh wait, hang on. What does drill do? Oh, never mind. There was like 4 people on me and I had no context for how to survive. But yeah, that's the interesting thing, is that like sometimes you think you're able to like gang up on someone, but then all of a sudden it's like, because they know like the button presses and such like that, they can just simply do the blah 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 blah. They can just, you know, play the PvP mechanics and, you know, outlast your burst. So then what ends up happening is that after outlasting your burst, they then, you know, defeat you. And yeah, I have like no context to how to survive burst. No idea what hinge means. There we go. Oh, okay, so we need to get our serpent outpost back. Here we go. I die so... Dying so often in this game? Yeah. Look, I die a whole ton of times in this game, too. Like, it is a... And now they want us to go up to section 2. The Elysian is being... What's in Koozie? There we go. Giving us the advantage. Now we go up here. 3, 2, 1. Oh shit, I have made a grave error. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get to him from there. There we go. Bald! Hey there, Code! No idea what I'm doing. How's it going for you, Code? You joined, but you're dealing with a cold. Fair enough. I am dealing with a, I'm dealing with an empty brain. I had a terrible... Woo! We came second. Holy shit, I actually got 2 kills, 10 assists, but 6 deaths. Jesus. Not too bad. I'm gonna give it to the healer that's still there. And then... So, that was that. And then we got different rewards. So yeah, so the Immortal Flames won. I could not tell you what made them win. But yay for them. They won. You need to level up PvP. There's outfits I need to get. Yeah, so I know there's outfits, but oh my goodness, I cannot be bothered, like, trying to learn PvP in order to get outfits, I'm sorry to say. I am just an absolute shitter. Alright, so, level 51 to 59, 61 to 69. Alright, so let's go let's go my healer class, because I don't use that too often. Level 60, level 60. That does 79, 3.4. Okay, so there's an actual, like, difference in... Fuck it. Yep. Update the thingy-madiggies. I'm wearing the augmented shrine nonsense. Alright, clear that. Guild heist. I might as well do the guild heist because they're asking for a healer, which means I get a bonus for being a healer myself. So yeah. There's a lot of different like classes I need to level up. This healer class is only like 67, trying to get it up to 70 or 80, and then once I get that like further, I'm probably gonna, like, if I had like Velk or you, I would most certainly just be a DPS and just be like, yay, I'll just, you know, link up to the tank privileges. Yep, okay, so oh, hang on. There we go. Okay, so now we're drawing him into there. There we go. Yay. It's me for cleaning without suffering a single KO. Nice! Yay, we got that guild heist out of the way. Dun, dun, dun. But everyone is asking for a fucking tank. Oh, never mind. We'll try my best. I'm learning. Alright, so Q is the regen. Where's the... Oh, okay, he's eating his food. Okay, looks like he's going long. There we go. We'll keep him alive if we can. Did someone order a tank? You happen to main tank? I happen to main tank as well. Like, look at this. Level 100 in all the tanks. Everywhere else, I'm fucking shit. So, I am relatively familiar with the game and the mechanics and what have you. What the shit? Why are you so low? There we go. Also, I have no context for why there's a blood lily. There we go. Also, what do these do? Okay, so one lily gives him a fast heal, and then this, you know, does a healing over time for the party. So far, so good. I'm built like a tank? Hell yeah! That's how I operate. But yeah, look, if you put me in a video game and I have to, like, you know, think of, like, positionals and shit, I'm gonna go with the tank. I'm gonna go with the class that's just, like, think little, alright? I am the tank in Final Fantasy. I am the hammer user in the Monster Hunters. Oh, shit. Down for the count. That's not good. Shit. Wait, is there a way for me to... There we go. Ah, damn it. I thought I could rescue them, but nah, that doesn't seem to be the case. I thought I could, like, pull them out from, like, that thingy-majiggy, but that doesn't seem to work as well as I hoped. Go. And look at that, someone leveled up. Good for them. Good for them. Level 50. Actually, no. I'm gonna pass on that. Actually. There we go. Have one for the region. Benediction. There we go. Hi there, YY. It's too early now? What do you mean it's too early now? It's like the evening for the Americans. Oh wait, no, you're not one of the Americans. You're one of the Europeans. Don't say the DPSs never do anything for me. Shit, do not die on me, motherfucker. There we go. Ah, I didn't get it in time. But yeah. I feel like DPSs would have it easier, but I don't want to have to learn how to do, like, optimized mechanics and, like, you know, the whole, like, you know, flow of, like, oh, I need to do big damage, which means I have to, like, you know, activate the thingy-madiggies correctly. Almost dead. Let's go. Hell yeah. I like the simplicity of the white mage. Then he waddled away. Waddle, waddle. I still have that, like, tank thingy in my head where it's just like, oh, I need to keep an eye on, like, where everyone else is. But yeah, honestly, this guy, he ain't too bad. Go in? Maybe. I don't know. Here we go. You gonna visit a studio today? Hey, nice! Wait, an art studio or a movie studio? What kind of studio? I'm sorry, I'm just like so focused when I go into these dungeons and what have you. I'm a weird Zeebs like that. I'm himbo as fuck. So like I need all the brain cells that I can when I go into these things. Art studio, you're not a movie actor. Fair, fair. Some people could visit like movie studios for like all kinds of reasons. So I had to ask. So wait, Ardo, are you on Crystal Goblin as well, or are you elsewhere? Oh shit, Blood Lily. Benediction. Sure, let's greet on that, and pass on that. Level 51, like, gear isn't really all that good, because I have, like, you know, I have, like, blue rarity, stuff for healers, but the gear, like, the weapons might be good for them. Probably should have rescued Kyoko if I could. Suna. Not good. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Greed on the daggers. need on that. And Ishgardian. Yeah, that kind of look cool. Da-da-da-da. Bow. Bow. Oop. I got one commendation. Yay, and it finished one of those. Nice. So then I got a 70 and an 80, and then something between 81 and 91. And then 100. Not great. Let's have a look. So we've got Omega Alphascape, we got Eden Gates, we got the First Walk of Juno, we got Alliance Raids and Stormblood. Let me have a look. What kind of Alliance Raids can I do? So I can't do Endwalker. I can't do Stormblood. I can do Alexander nonsense. But yeah, I need to be level 70 for all that. Okay. I don't really have a lot of options. Yeah, because he's like level 67. He's like nowhere near. And I've already gotten my extra reward. Let's do main scenario, because they're looking for a healer. This is what it's like when you go through, like, the Final Fantasies when you're up to date with everything, is that, you'll just come in, like, once in a while and being like, oh, I got some dailies I need to, or weeklies that I need to do. I'll be real with you, the only reason I'm doing these is because right now I'm on stream, and I've done, like, the Rising, which was, like, a limited time event. I'm not really interested in going through, you know, the next, patch story, like, immediately. Because a part of me is like, yeah, I'm kind of good for doing only like 2-hour stream or instead of 4-hour stream. Alrighty, and then Q on you, Q on you. Yep, they're all chasing after us. So yeah, this is what it's like when you do main scenario as well, is they just want to do, they just want to rush. So you just try and get, so like the tank tries to get everyone in a circle, and then like everyone else is doing like AoE nonsense. Cure you real quick, and then do holy. I just love holy, where it's like, here's an AoE that will also stun, because, you know, we need that as a healer. I want an AoE as a tank that stuns. Ah. Swiftcast, Rise, Benediction, and then... Why didn't the Swiftcast work? The... No, not good, not good. And then they're fully resisting the stun, which is not too good. Okay, why is it... No, Benediction is not... So it's Cure 2 that I want to use, not Cure 3. I don't have the MP to raise anymore, which is annoying. Swiftcast to raise. There we go. Do I seriously not have any mana? Jesus. How the fuck am I out of mana? Fuck. There we go. Lucid dreaming. I swear I revived... I swear I did, like, the quick cast and rise on them earlier, but they weren't coming back up, and I was like... I guess I must have missed it. Alrighty. There's... Oh, I just realized the name of this person. Ivar. Ivar is in Ivar the Boneless. Hi there, Big DJ. I am doing relatively okay. I had a bit of a bad like stream back on Friday, so I only streamed for like an hour and a bit, and then I just spent all of Saturday not doing anything except drinking like my diet shakes. So, you know, we got that going for us. So now we're doing like a bit more of a casual sort of Sunday morning stream. I put it in the schedule to do a Sunday morning stream. I told myself to do it. And I didn't do any announcements whatsoever of the fact that there was going to be a Sunday morning stream this morning. But, you know, we're going through it. It's going. It's happening. I'm doing my darndest. yeah, how's it for you? It must be the evening for you right now, I believe. Just doing a weird walk with the duck. But yeah, no, I just had, like, I talked about it earlier in this stream, like, my gripes with, like, you know, trying to balance my weight with my diet, you know, financial troubles here and there, and then, you know, just the fact that, ooh, hang on, I need to heal you. There we go. And then just the fact that, like, with the dieting and such, it does help with, like, finances, because I'm not spending as much on groceries, so long as I'm not, you know, doing DoorDash, like, Uber Eats or that kind of nonsense. But the thing is that even if I avoid all those kinds of things, it is stressful, like, you know, financially stressful, I should say. Not, like, stressful, like, you know, oh, woe is, like, not physically stressful to, blah, 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 blah. Where's my brain at? Where's my brain at? It's financially stressful, like, trying to have, like, savings goals, such as, you know, going up to Texas next year. I am still waiting for, Texas Fur Fiesta tickets to open up, because I have no idea how much it will all cost to, you know, to attend the thingamadiggy. And then there's the, you know, just cost of, like, getting up into the States and such, because it's not cheap going from Australia to the United States. Decia to get everyone some thingy. Oh, you are getting stunned. Let's fix that. Let's get rid of that paralysis. Alright, so we fully resisted. So yeah. Where was my brain at? Oh yeah, so one of the things that I've opened up on my coffee, because, like, there's the saving goal for going up to the United States. I'm doing what I can to try and, you know, save up on the side so then that way I can afford all that. But I also want to look into a new PC, which is not going to be an easy thing to save up for. So, like, I've made, like, a coffee goal. Like, granted, it's a very expensive coffee goal, don't get me wrong. But, like, any like, donations towards it for, like, you know, being able to afford, like, replacing this PC, the Ship of Theseus I've got, which has had problems here and there, would be greatly appreciative. Donk. So yeah. And ding. Heal you real quick. And I accidentally swift pass rather than lucid dreaming. That was dumb of me. Cure to him. Around 8 p.m. and doing well. You're playing DRG with some streaming friends. DRG? I have no idea what DRG is. Oh, I see where we're going. Deep Rock Galactic. Ah, okay, okay. God, so many... There are, like, so many games that are kind of in the, like, they're in the streaming sphere, so to speak, of, like, oh, hey, like, you know, you should look into playing these games. You should look into, you know, putting in some time for this and that. And it's like, I would like to, But unless I start streaming way more days in the week, like, there's just not the time and the attention for all the different games that I would like to play. Because the thing is that I want to play new games as well, but like if I do that on stream and what have you, there's, you know, like it's greatly reduced the number of people watching my streams because I'm not that big of a streamer where like I can grow new audiences by playing the brand new games. The way my audience grows is by playing older games that people have like a sort of nostalgia for. So, but then there's also the fact that so this was like one of the other things that I like raised back on Friday is that I'm just so tired like putting in the streamer grind right now, because it's not like in the 4 years that I've been streaming now, like things have not gotten easier. Like I've not found like easier, like I've not had like a lot of success in organizing my Discord, organizing community nights, collaboration with Australians, like, and, you know, clips and things. Like, it's all been, like, really difficult. And I like streaming. Like, I do like, you know, playing video games and sharing it to everyone here and such. But I don't particularly like the grind, so to speak. Like, you know, to make it worthwhile to be able to continue like streaming this game and such like that. And because of like, you know, the cost of living in Australia, like there is now an incentive for me for this hobby to be making money and what have you. So, like, you know, I have to now think about like, okay, now I have to like grow this audience. Now I have to incentivize people to not only follow, but to subscribe, to sit through the advertisements, to donate bits. And, you know, the only way to be able to get like more possible subscribers is to get more viewers. And you can't really grow organically on Twitch just by streaming on Twitch. Not unless you want to do something really fucking disastrous, such as putting money into view bots, so then that way people see you higher in the categories than normal, and then go and see what your thingamadiggy is about. So it's like you have to do like TikTok and YouTube shorts, or even YouTube videos, but I can't stand like watching myself. I don't know how many of you do that. Like, have any of you like reviewed your own footage? Or better yet, have you like once finished like a book report or any kind of essay, and then you revisit that essay like months later and you're like, is it worth reading? Okay, I need to do benediction on you, because you're... There we go. There we go. But yeah, it is... There's a lot of hats to wear when being a streamer, and, like, considering I work, like, a full-time job, like, I'm already wearing enough hats as is. Thermobaric strike? Oh, shit. Also, is Livia, like, the last boss in this fight? I think she is. Hopefully she is. Otherwise, I'm gonna be a little bit annoyed. Like, you know... There we go. Hopefully we get through this quickly. The tank is literally just standing in the fucking, what's-in-the-whoosies now. There we go. I was gonna give it to Mocha, but Mocha, like, just insta-left. Balancing a bunch of stuff in this day and age is difficult. It is. And, like, oh, yay, 2 commendations then. Nice. But yeah, so, like, balancing stuff is a little bit tricky. And there are some streamers out there that do an amazing job. Dazzy, Unnamed, there's, like, a number of them out there that, you know, they can do the balance. They can do the grind of, you know, going over and doing, actually, I need to double check. Does the book have anything? No, it didn't have anything for that. Alright, let's head to the castrum then. No, we're not. You're gonna use my free tickets on that. But yeah, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, there are some people that can do, like, wearing all the different hats and such. I am not one of those kinds of people, I'm sorry to say. I am... I, like, as you saw back on Friday, like, you know... I just need one bad day at work where it's like I can't understand or explain why it was bad, and it just ruins everything else. Oh, Grant, am I glad to see you? I'm at my wit's end. Every day I've worked Kundry upon Sanshi, and she's drinking a potent herbal elixir I had delivered from Gridania, but still her condition worsens. And watching her mother's health decline is not helping Gaddy to master her magics. Void's sense of being drawn by her untamed aether a few times now, and I've just barely managed to fight them off. I've reached my limits, to be quite honest, and I think Gaddy would benefit from your calming presence. Will you come with me back to their cabin? Alright. So yeah, me in particular, I do not have, you know, the balance sorted out. So... like, if people, like, supported me and like, clipped my stuff and what have you, that would go a long way. It would be a start. Deliver the requisite mini... Arcane Artistry. Yeah, that's level 100 nonsense. Arcane Artistry is, like, the relic weapon, I think. Excuse me. Excuse me. Now fall. Oh, Yumi. There you are. No excuse. What? Brother Yumi-san has found us out, Grant. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. Did I not make myself sufficiently clear, Selfie? My permission was contingent upon your promise to refrain from rash and thoughtless actions. Yes, Guildmaster, and I've done my best to fulfill that promise, I swear. I gave this matter a great deal of thought before deciding it was the best way to aid everyone. I will not doubt your sincerity, Acolyte, but imagine my surprise when I was informed of your request for an advanced elixir. No mention of such was included in your reports, and thus did I come to investigate. And now I find you concealing the presence of a Pajal. Even from a distance, the nature of Gradi's aura was unmistakable. A Pajali child without guidance is an exceedingly dangerous thing, Siphi. You know this. Her aether, wild and radiant, will grow even as she does, and so too shall the power of the fiends which gather to feed upon it. Should Gadi draw the attention of a greater void scent, the entire region would suffer from its deprivation. I've seen what happens. The worst episodes are when she's overcome by fear for her mother's health. That's why I judged it safer to keep them together. Ah, Siphi. I had already almost forgotten that stubborn streak of yours. But I do recognize that responsibility for this situation falls not upon your shoulders alone. 'Twas my failing as guildmaster to have overlooked the birth of a Pajal in the first place. Will you take Gadi back to Stillglade Fane now? Such was my intention. I followed the whispers through the forest, yet by the time I arrived here, the house already laid empty. They may have marked my approach. You mean they're not here? Sachi shouldn't be walking around with her condition. Her heart is too weak for that kind of exertion. Then we must waste no time in tracking them down. Not only for Sachi's well-being, Gadi's concern for her mother could consume her at any moment. Do you know where they might have gone? If they meant to avoid us, then heading north to cross the shallows of the Velodina River would be their only choice. We should hurry. So yeah. But yeah, what did you mean by no excuse? I'm a little bit lost on that. Like, are you telling me that there is no excuse for me to, you know, do better? In which case, that's a morbid, that's like a harsh thing to say. But then you gave me the thumbs up, so I feel like there is like just a, you know, mistranslation going off or something. Oh, for your yawning. Oh. Look, I yawn, okay? I yawn a lot of times. It's one of those things that is bound to happen, and it happens, like, even in the middle of the day it will happen. I don't know. The body is weird that way. Hi, Night Sky. Alrighty. Again. Doesn't mind this shit. Make sure I can get rid of these guys quickly. Good job. Hopefully there isn't another guy ready to just pop out. There we go. Alright, can I talk to Gadi this time? Can I render my aid? Grant, you're here. There were strange whispers coming from everywhere around the house. I got scared, so we ran away. Huh? You must be Gadi. Those whispers you heard were the voices of the elementals. You need not fear them, though it was wise to heed their warning. Your brother Sumiyan. What do you want with us? 'Tis clear that you are all well aware of my purpose here, and I understand that you are disinclined to trust the words of a conjurer. But pray believe me when I say that neither Sylphie nor Grant betrayed their promise to you. Simply put, Gaddy's aether has grown too strong to be concealed. I suggest we return to the house and discuss how best to resolve this quandary, a solution to which we all might agree. I have honestly forgotten. It's alright, ma'am. The angry whispers are quiet now. We can go home. Stroking my beard hair again. If Gaddy says it's alright, then I suppose we should go. Yeah. Chat, I'm just so tired. I have a house inspection as well that's like... What's the date today? The 7th? Yeah, that's like that's like 10 days away that I need to be set up for as well. But it's like... I don't know. Just the last few weeks... So low. Making my way back to the house. Ah! Excuse me. Where the hell is this house? There it is. Back into the Fletcher's cabin we go. From what Gaddy and her mother have told me, the Earl has received no former guidance in how to contain her aether. Pajali instincts allow her to suppress her aura when calm, but that will become increasingly difficult as her powers grow with age. Eventually, even the briefest onslaught of emotions, a surge of anger, a whisper of fear, will be enough to shatter her control. Also, why is my thingamadiggy... And that's why I thought it's best to teach Gaddy here at home. Unlike other Pajal, she's lived her whole life with her mother. Taking her away from Sanch now would be disastrous. I know only too well the effects such a separation can have on a child. You agree with me, don't you, Grant? Or do you think we shall follow the letter of Gridania's law? There are always exceptions to the rule. Lord knows I know this. You side with Sylphie in this matter? Truth be told, I find myself in agreement. Gaddy's upbringing is an extremely rare case among the Pajal. It seems that it may, indeed, be the lesser risk to allow the girl to remain with her mother. Then, does this mean... However, if we are to avoid an escalation of these attacks, I must insist that Gaddy learn the intricacies of her powers under the official supervision of the Conjurers Guild. Acolyte Sylphie, I hereby assign you the duty of overseeing the Pajal Gaddy's formal education at this abode. Your status as a member of the guild should satisfy the demands of law and custom, and be sure to thank Grant for his assistance. I would not have permitted this breach of tradition were you not accompanied by a white mage of such high standing. I won't let you down. Pray understand that this ruling comes with a caveat. If Gaddy does not show marked improvement within the time period I dictate, then I shall be forced to relocate her to Stillglade Fane. Thank you, Brother Isumi. This means so much to us. Gaddy, I see you are a kind child who cares deeply for her mother, yet you must not lose yourself in another's life. Look within and master the magics which infuse you. Show you are capable of controlling your own destiny and make your mother proud. I will. I'll do anything to make Mama happy, and I don't want to disappoint Sylphie or Grant either. So close. The point isn't to make your mother happy, the point is to make you happy. Very well, I will return to Gridania immediately and prepare an education manual for Sylphie. I'll see the guildmaster on his way. If you need me, I'll be waiting outside. Ta-ta. Alrighty. So now we hand in our quest to Sylphie. There you are. I'm so glad that Sanch and Gaddy can still live together. Thank you, Grant. There might have been gone very differently if I hadn't been around to help. Blah, 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 blah. Da, 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 da. Yep, I need to be level 70 to get the 7th Heaven attire, and then get grants confession to self and nearby party members. Party members under the effect of confession will receive additional healing upon receiving HP recovery via Magicka, Magicka 2, or Cure 3. Nice. I'm just gonna return to Tulial. Ah! Ah! Ugh. Excuse me. Yeah, I want to wrap up this stream, honestly. I know it's not even been 3 hours, but yeah. I want to wrap it up. Also, can I wear better gear at this point, or? No, not explicitly. No problem. Thank you, Big DJ. We'll keep chatting for, you know, the next few minutes and what have you about stuff, no doubt. I just want to be in like a... I just want to be in a room. I just want to retreat into an abode. There we go. That way I have an opportunity to chat to you, lovely viewers. Also, I need to hand in all this, like, nonsense. Oh, I'm out of inventory space with this person. Oopsies. That's a problem. You have way too much shit in you. But yeah. Lot of stresses. Just dieting, finances, work. Doing a good job in this whole streaming thing. Oh, I'm nearly out of room there too. At some point, I'm gonna need to clean out these inventories, which is a little tragic. Whatever reason, I have... Oh, you can stack Phoenix Downs now, it seems. Interesting. And then the Stygian Ashes for all that nonsense. You're gonna sell all that. Let's sort this inventory out. So yeah, where's my brain at? Okay, so we have the Expanse Greatsword, which is... Yep, so that's already there. And then we got True Ice Claws, which is for the Pugilist. I have so many things in this glamour chest, I am running out of room. At some point, I am going to need to, cull a few of these things. Which is a shame, because I don't want to get rid of all of these blues. Like, Jesus Christ. Some of these are really hard to get. Some of these, and like, it will be very costly to get them again. So, would rather not. But yeah, where's my brain at? Ooh, the Vanguard Axe. I totally forgot I had that thing. And then we've got these. So many different axes. I probably could get rid of a number of these axes, I'll be real with you. Not the true, not Shiva's diamond axe though, because that does cool stuff. I could probably get rid of like anything that's like less than level 60 or 70. Except for these guys, I can't get rid of these. Crimson Lotus, Usano's nonsense. Yeah, there's just like so many things. Okay, so I already have that thing. Ironworks, Thingy-Madiggy, and then we got True Ice Claws. You know what? Let's put you in there. And then what's that? Levy something or rather? Sure. And then... Zuriat. Yep, cool, cool. So that's a 265. I can't have my mage using any of those. And then there's those. Oh, Hive Cane. Did I not? Yep, cool, awesome. And then I need those blues. And then we have the Arc Tunic Thingamadiggy. Oh, durability is less than 100. That's not gonna work. Royal Vest. Ooh, interesting. Oh wait, no, I'm keeping like, you know, healing stuff. You see the new t-shirt? What new t-shirts? I have t-shirts, but I don't think you're talking about like all of these cool t-shirts that I have, like the Spider-Man and UNSC, God of War, All Titty is Good Titty, the different Okay, you're gonna share it? Cool. Share it with the chat if you can. But yeah, so yeah, not worry about you. You're a level 50 as well, which will go to the ranged people. So your cruiserweight nonsense. Your paladin stuff. Strange. Is there another piece of the paladin on here? No, there isn't. Odd. Hang on. So, Cabellarius. Paladin. Where is Cabellarius? 96. Huh. Interesting. And then we got all these thingamadoogs. Servant, Astrum, Breachers. And then we've got these. Okay, so I don't have... So I need the other Moonfire stuff. And then this is the Expeditioner's nonsense. So... Also, these will need to be broken down once I get most of my stuff up to level 50. Gonna log in to see the names again. Those diamonds on your zebra boobs for what? What diamonds? These are D20s. The Moonfire stuff you'd have to buy on the Mog Station store. Ah! I'm not interested in buying stuff for the Mog Station, I'm sorry to say, Fizz. As much as I would love to be able to, you know, buy stuff from the Mog Station like I used to in the past, I just don't have the monies for it, I'm sorry to say. I am not a suspiciously wealthy fur. I am unfortunately just a casual, I'm just a casual furry. I work full-time, and, you know, it helps pay for the bills, but I have very little in the way of, you know, being able to throw money left and right and such, because, yeah, I need to save money for replacing the Ship of Theseus PC at some point, or, you know, going over to the States because Unnamed and a few other Texans are like, Grant, you should come. You should go over to the United States and what have you, which is going to be very tricky. The shirts are from the Bango Zango and... Oh, neat. Nice. But yeah, this is... Also, why is the music not playing? I press the button and it doesn't do the automatic play thingamadiggy. But yeah, I'm gonna say that's it for me. Like that is let's keep going for like another few minutes and like, you know, in a just chatting sort of thing. Just so then that way also I need to refresh this. Just so then that way I'm not accidentally. Yep, cool. Lord knows I will need to go back into I'll need to go back into Final Fantasy 14. I'll probably make it like a proper Final Fantasy 14 stream Sunday morning, because quite frankly, I felt kind of okay with this morning's stream. It wasn't too bad. Like, sure, I was in a bit of a mood. I was in a bit of a mood during I was in a bit of a mood Friday night, and that definitely played havoc into me all of Saturday. But I reckon like Sunday mornings have to head off to work, have a great stream. Not to worry, Tan Mux, this is probably a good time for you to do it, because, you know, brain. So yeah, because I'm probably gonna, you know, finish up in the next few minutes. Like once my stream timer ticks over like 3 hours, I'm probably gonna, you know, call it there, and we'll go and raid into Punk Roxy, because right now they are celebrating their birthday on stream. They are 30. They are now officially a gray fur, just like me. So yeah, because yeah, I'm 31 years old. It's crazy to think that just getting over the age of 30 is enough to be considered a quote-unquote gray fur in the community. Yeah, gray fur. It's a furry term. So basically, if you are in the furry fandom for, like, if you're in the furry fandom and you're over the age of, if you're 30 years or older, or gray muzzle, as Fizz Tiger says, it's a furry term. It's not, and it's one that, like, you know, it's a little bit funny to think that, like, oh, 30 is seen as gray in the furry fandom, when I reckon because of how long the furry fandom has existed now, and, you know, all that, sounds like age shaming? Very much so. Some people use it as a badge of honor, like himbo and bimbo are being used less as a derogatory term, especially for the men, but some people still see it as a bit of a problem. It's one of those things where gray muzzle is probably a better phrase than gray fur, but yeah, it's definitely used as a bimbo? Yeah, bimbo. It's the female, it's like a himbo, but for women. Himbo, bimbo, thembo. You cannot be this oblivious, YY, I'm sorry to say. This is definitely stuff you would have seen online and what have you. But yeah, so the furry fandom is a bit ageist, I will be real with you, because even though the furry fandom has definitely, like, you know, been a, you know, convention going popular thing since the 80s, there is this weird interpretation that the furry fandom is only filled with, like, teenagers and uni students and such, when, you know, that's probably not a fair assessment of the furry fandom. It's because, like, you know, it's existed for this long, and many of the people who were there when it started are still in the furry fandom. I reckon there was probably just the case of, like, oh, when we went from, like, the 80s to the 90s, like, the few times that people did catch wind of the furry fandom, and it was being presented in popular media like CSI and all this kind of nonsense, it was given a very bad light. So there was just sort of this, you know, there was sort of this, like, furry scare where, like, a whole ton of furries were like, yeah, I'm kind of done with that label.
Glug, 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 glug.
Yep, I will have, let me get some big sips of water. So, like, there was, like, a number of people who were kind of done with labeling themselves a furry, and they just moved on, because that's the thing about the fandom, is that it's not like in today's age. Like, back then, there wasn't exactly an explicit way of being able to make a living only in the furry fandom. There's a bit of a joke of it nowadays where, you know, artists that do commissioned artwork and such, they can make big money from furries, because some furries just ask for some really crazy stuff. But, yeah, no, there's still this there's still this weird age bias in fandoms, like you know, the internet, comics, movies, and furry fandom in this extension, where people don't think people over the age of 30 want to engage in fandoms and their hobbies and such, but it's like, that's far from the truth. Like, there are most certainly people over the age of 30 who still want to engage in hobbies and what have you. I guess the difference is that the furry fandom, it's still, like, it has people that are in the fandom less as a, this is a job, I'm only in it for the money kind of thing, but they're still engaging in it as, like, you know, as an actual social thing and what have you. There's probably like a whole ton of psychology that can go into why fandoms think they're younger than they are, like age demographic wise, but I don't have the know-how for it. So it is what it is. You should enter artist fandoms because their older painter is considered as more experienced, and older artists are considered who painted more than 100 years ago. Yeah, art has been around for a very long time. I'm not gonna deny that. But what's more is that, like, I don't know, like, the way fandoms are sort of, you know, formed, like, the furry fandom is definitely, like, a partying kind of fandom, I feel like. Like, there are people that really do want to just meet up with each other, exchanging art, exchanging beers and what have you. It's a very interesting sort of fandom, I would say the least. I would probably go more into it, but I don't at the same time. I want to call the stream here, and while we do that, I am actually going to go and have us go onto a little raid into someone. Let me see, are they in my recommended raid list? Nope, 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 nope. Alright, hang on. I'm gonna hit the button, and let's see, where are they? There they are. It is it is Punk's Roxy's birthday. It's their birthday. They are 30 years old, and we're gonna go and raid into them. So, is it gonna let me raid into them? Hang on. Click. Yes, it will. Cool. Awesome. All right. So, celebrating. It's your birthday. So, we are gonna go with a very simple like emojis. I don't actually, is there like a celebration emoji that Twitch provides? Let me have a look. Let's see. Favorites. Oh yeah, there is. Global party hats. All right. Ding dong. Ding 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 ding. It's your birthday. There it is. This is a better raid message. It's your birthday. We're gonna go with that one. If you want to use some other kind of emotes, you're welcome to do so. Here you go. Oop. It's your birthday, but I'm personally gonna be using these emotes. And yeah, that is going to be it for me today. I'm probably gonna hop offline. I'm gonna chillax. I'm still stroking my beard hair. I need to be better with that management. I might do some chores. Lord knows I need to do that. But yeah, I'm in a very, you know, bleh kind of mood. I'm in a very, you know, just tired and want to rest and not do anything. So yeah. Otherwise, I want to say thank you everyone who came along to this morning's stream. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, night. And as we raid into Punk Roxy, bye!